flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. No visitors to really introduce. We have our staff. Public comment. Does anyone wish to make any public comment? Okay, we'll move right to the consent agenda. Any questions, comments, corrections? If there are none, a motion for approval would be in order. Jody.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was in our packet.
Is there a second? Craig. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I'd like to abstain for the minute.
Okay. Noted. Motion passes with Marcia's abstention. We have some correspondence in our package. There's several letters concerning students who are going to a school of choice and would like to participate in sports at the middle school. That's not something that our district practice has permitted in the past. I think it's something that the policy committee will probably take a look at and see if we want to continue that or make any changes. The other correspondence, I think it's self-explanatory. Any questions or comments on the correspondence? Jody?
Will you just let the parent know that you're going to check our policy? Will you respond to her letter?
Well, I had no plans to immediately respond, but if we do as a policy committee elect to take it up, I think we would notify her so that if she wanted to attend, she certainly could.
Thank you.
If the board would like me to respond, I certainly will.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Let her know that we're returning to the policy committee.
I don't want her to think we ignore it.
Okay. I think good points. Okay.
It's a topic that's come up a couple of times in the last couple of years.
Okay, superintendent's report. Tom.
Sure. A couple topics tonight I'm extremely excited about. First and foremost is high school is here to share a concept and approach called extended learning opportunities, and this is something that's been in process for about 10 to 12 months. And in front of you tonight is some information around how we can provide some students the ability to earn high school credit through learning experiences that occur outside of the classroom setting. It's not unheard of. We have an internship program through our business department, and that's been a long-standing program. There's certainly aspects of in-school courses that ask kids to perform outside of the classroom. This is really a comprehensive approach to capture all of that. One of the things that really sparked our thinking, and I know Andre's going to elaborate on this, is a project that a young lady at Waterford High did last year, Sophie Wong, around mosquitoes, and it was something she took on her own, and Andre's going to talk a little bit further about that. But that was outside the scope of the school, and one of the things we all said, we all turned to each other and said, geez, it would have been great to do something for her, credit-wise. Up until now, we haven't had a real formal way to tie those research opportunities outside of school to credit-bearing opportunities. The other factor that went into this is a team of us attended the League of Innovative Schools conference last fall. That's an organization or a network of schools we joined around mastery-based learning, and there were some schools there who shared some strategies and approaches they've been using, which we researched and adopted certain aspects of that. But it's something that we're really looking forward to sharing with you tonight. And at this point, I'll hand it over to Mr. Hauser.
Thank you. So we've got a little bit of information for you this evening about extended learning opportunities. And first of all, what is an extended learning opportunity? As Tom mentioned, it's an opportunity for students to go outside of the classroom and a little bit beyond what we typically offer in order to extend their learning. Basically, learning occurs anytime, anywhere that somebody's motivated to learn. It shouldn't be confined within the school's walls or within the school day. And we've got some really driven students, or students who actually maxed out all of the courses we offer in an area and would like to continue studying. And extended learning opportunities are a way to provide them some support, some encouragement, and also to recognize that in their transcripts.
I'm most proud of completing my scientific research project throughout high school, so I did 2 of them. The first one being about oil oxidation and the second being related to mosquito control. And I'm mostly proud of the second one because that was the one I completed my junior year, so I already had some previous experience in scientific research. Last December I went to the Northeastern Mosquito Control Association annual meeting, and I got to present in front of a room of about 100 professionals and share my research with them. And so just doing scientific research over the past 4 years is probably been my most proudest accomplishment.
So that was Sophie Long, our valedictorian last year. And she talked about that presentation that she did last December. I watched the rehearsal run of it that she did for a number of faculty members after school, right before the conference. And I've got to be honest, I understood almost none. But what she told me was, this wouldn't have been possible without our marine science class, our chemistry class, our bio class, our environmental science class. And really what she was doing was she was harvesting some of the most challenging work in all of those and applying that work that's already embedded in our curriculum into a project that she was interested in and that she was passionate about and that had a real-world application. And it was some of the most outstanding student work I've ever seen. The only thing missing from it is that there's no acknowledgement of it, no record of it in our high school record. And that really got us thinking a lot about the fact that this is an omission. This is really something we should be doing for students. And so we got a committee together, a number of teachers, some who've gone to that League of Innovative Schools conference and been exposed to other schools' ELO programs, and some who were just interested in the idea of fostering independent student research. And we came up with a proposal, or basically a plan, that has a few different ways students could craft extended learning opportunities and earn credit for them. One is basically what Sophie did, advanced study and coursework beyond our offering, built on the foundation of what we offer and embedded in what we already do, but extending it out to a place that students are passionate about. Career exploration. We do have an internship program in our business department that Tom mentioned that is great for students if it fits their schedule and if we haven't already maxed out the number of students available for it. But there are students who are really focused on a career before senior year who may want to start exploring earlier, or they may want to explore in more depth, go beyond what our senior internship offers. And this would be a way for them to really explore that career and connect it to what they're doing in school. Third, project-based learning. Sometimes there are things that, we're doing in a class that students just are interested in. They want to go well beyond what the rest of their class is doing. And this would be a way to potentially allow a student, for instance, say, who's in an A-level class or an unleveled class, to earn an honors designation for it by really pushing the boundaries of that curriculum, really challenging themselves to go beyond expectations. And the last one is serve as a service aid. There are a number of things students could be doing in school that really tie in with our curriculum and with their professional interests. There are a number of schools around that will actually have a student-organized and student-staffed help desk for IT. There are lots of things that we don't need our IT department coming over for that our students are perfectly capable of doing. I was just talking to a parent the other day whose son graduated 2 years ago. He's now being vetted for a role in the military handling top secret documents and servers, and this is a passion that the student started really developing in high school, so much so that, first of all, he used to record your meeting, and second, he started his own business while still in high school doing tech support in the community. And students with that level of interest and that level of drive, it'd be great for us to be able to support them a little bit more effectively. Now, this isn't just going to be something willy-nilly for any kid to make up what they want to do. We do have some criteria we've established. Any proposal for an extended learning opportunity would have to have some real connections to what we're doing. We would want a student to be able to spell out for us what's that connection to a specific one of our 6 career and college pathways. How is it related? Like I said, these are all growing from existing curriculum. How? What's the course? What are those key elements of that curriculum that are really being researched and worked on more fully? And our Waterford Public Schools vision of the graduate, those academic, civic, and social skills that we've decided are so important that every student has to master them, the ones that are on the wall right there, it's not going to be accepted as an ELO if there isn't a direct tie-in to how it helps foster the vision of the graduate. Students will be asked to identify the competencies and the specific learning objectives to be mastered, and ultimately, it's not enough to say, I did a bunch of research, I learned some cool stuff. They're going to have a meaningful final product and project to demonstrate to an audience that learning has occurred. A few of the components we expect any ELO to have is work with an adult mentor. First of all, a faculty supervisor will be required. If you're earning credit, you need to be working with a teacher. If you're doing research, a guy who's an expert at research, an expert at that subject area is going to be helpful. We're thinking not required, but possible community connections. If you really dig into what Sophie Wong was doing, she was working very closely with her oceanography teacher, Mike O'Connor, but she was also working with lab scientist advisor who, for whatever reasons, granted her just remarkable access to laboratory facilities and to some pretty high-end equipment that was essential for her project. Now, I don't expect everybody at ELO to be presenting to a national conference, but imagine if we could get more kids doing that level of work. Wouldn't that be amazing? Any ELO, we would expect there to be a research part to it. What did you go out and learn? Without learning, there's no reason to be, calling this a learning opportunity. There needs to be some reflection, not just go out and learn things, but think about what does that learning mean to you? How did it connect to what we're doing? Why is it valuable? And then a product, what is that end result? What is that end project? And then presentation. Who are you demonstrating that to? We've got a number of teachers who are happy to serve on an ELO supervisory committee, and our vision at this point is that they would be the audience. Although we would also invite any student doing an ELO to invite other people, parents, other teachers, friends, family, whoever might benefit from their presentation to take part in that presentation as well. The grading of the ELO, though, would be done by that panel of identified teachers. So that's where we're at.
This sounds wonderful. I think that's advanced. I think that shows that kids go out there and actually use the knowledge.
Right.
And when you use that knowledge, you really understand it and you really can spit it back. But I do have some concerns about the committee being subjective. I would like to know if you've got some more objective rubrics or something to do these evaluations of accepting the project and evaluating the project and evaluating how many credits they're going to get, because it really didn't say how many credits. It left that totally open. You're going to give them 12 credits? You're going to give them 2 credits?
That's a great question. And actually, we've come up with a draft at this point of a proposal form that a student would need to submit. They would need to let us know, based on the work you plan to do, how many credits do you think this is worth? And we're not talking credits, we're talking percentages of a credit. Is this a quarter credit project, a half credit project? In some extreme cases, might this be a full credit project?
Okay, so
what
what's
is the
max?
that would go into it? We would max that out, most likely at most 1 credit.
Okay.
One course.
That makes me feel a little better.
You're not going to graduate just off of the ELO. We've got a great curriculum and a great faculty. They are They're the essential part of learning. This is where the student wants to go beyond that. And they would present to us, what do I think it's worth, and what is the work I plan to do to earn that credit? And the committee would then determine, well, you're asking for a full credit. The work that you're presenting really sounds like it should be a half credit. We'd approve it at a half credit, or we want to see these added components to make it a full credit.
But if we had a standardized rubric, I think, that gave a scale, it would make it more objective, especially if you're listening to a presentation that you may not understand completely.
That's a good point. And that is one of the things we've talked about is how do you assign credit? Some of these may be pass-fail, some of these may be based on a letter grade, and right now, not knowing exactly what we're likely to have students present to us, we can't really have a rubric that's designed at this point. We have a number of rubrics for presentations, for various types of projects, and our vision is that we would, when we start to see what it is the students want to do, would be adapting existing measurements to fit the project.
That's fine, as long as it's evolving.
Absolutely. We're not just going to watch the presentation and say, well, it sounds like a B+. We would have criteria, of course.
And then the other question is, are all the committee members volunteering their services?
At this point, yes. Everyone is volunteering their services. We have no idea. Will we get 2 students? Will we get 10 students? I wouldn't imagine we just open the floodgates and hundreds of students will want to start doing work after the school day.
Yeah.
And at this point, we've got a core group of teachers who are passionate about this and want to see this be successful and have volunteered their time in meetings and have told me that they would continue to volunteer their time, at least in that initial startup phase, to see if this is something that's viable for our students.
That's commendable.
Yeah, we've got some very passionate teachers who are very giving with their services.
The experience from other districts have been, this is a rigorous approach to learning. This is not going to be for every child. That's for sure. That it gains momentum over time.
Right.
You might see a couple the first year and then it spreads. Again, do I think at any given time we're going to have 400 kids doing an ELO? That would be great, but I don't think that's practical. This is going to appeal to certain students and not others, but it's another way to open it up.
It's great to encourage and reward your exceptional students. So
Exactly, yeah.
thank you and the rest of the administration.
What's that going to look like on their transcript, or how will it be communicated to colleges?
Well, the key way that it will be communicated to colleges is on the transcript. And although
will it say ELO?
It would most likely say something along the lines of extended learning opportunity science or literature if a student, say, wants to write a novel or something like that. And we'll figure out exactly what the wording will be for those when we see what the interest is, what the nature of the projects are. But we do want to indicate this is independent work. That to me, that's a sign of initiative that any college would want to see. So we want to make it clear that that's not just classroom learning, that's self-driven, highly motivated learning.
Jody, you had a question?
Yeah, well, not a question, just a comment. I was really impressed with the whole curriculum and the whole program, and I could tell you put a lot of thought and work into it. And I think this is such a great opportunity for our high school students, the ones that want to participate. And the board members sit in on some of the presentations.
I suppose if a student invites you guys along, you're certainly welcome to. So thank you all very much for your work.
Just a real quick one. Is it going to go on this year's catalog for implementation a year from now?
What we'd actually like to do is roll these out for this year, allow students who want to start tackling this to tackle them right away, and then actually have some written language about them in next year's course catalog. So the vision is that after I've presented this as well to the faculty, we will then very quickly in October roll it out to students as well, gauge what the interest level is, and then go from there. So this year, yes, I would. Ideally, I would love to see a handful of students piloting it this year, just to see what our future is, what those final products would look like, what a student's vision of the ELO would be.
Good.
What other schools are doing this?
There are a number of schools that are doing it. A lot of schools just do it sort of on an ad hoc level. If you go back close to 20 years, I was running these on really when kids come to me basis as the department chair for English up in Enfield. And it was not uncommon for students to say, look, I really wanted the honors level of this course. It doesn't fit my schedule. Will you work with me to just really amp things up?
Well, if we fast forwarded it to now and not 20 years ago, not to be quite,
But Andre, you were able to articulate with your committee certain school districts that have variations with this, and we looked at that at the committee.
Similar to a capstone.
Off the top of my head, I can't give you a list of nearby ones. North Carolina, but I know that Lime Line does this. We were really looking at a couple of models in Rhode Island, Vermont, and New Hampshire that are really, a good bit ahead of most of the state of Connecticut in terms of real mastery learning and mastery assessment and giving students opportunities like this.
I think that you said it, but I don't know that I'm clear. Who approves the course? So who decides? So if you've got 20 kids that are applying and one kid says, I want to do sports management, who says, no, I don't think that that's worthy, or I don't think it rises to the level? And then what happens if the child says, well, I think it is, but the committee says, no, it's not worthy? And I'm just picking that arbitrarily.
Okay. Teachers, it's part of their job, and administrators, it's part of our job to set criteria and set limits for students. The committee, which will have administrators on it, would be ultimately making the decision that yes, this is worthy. In the case that you mentioned, for instance, sports management, we have a business management course that has a pretty significant sports management component in it. The first question I would have is, okay, have you taken that course? If you haven't taken that course, take the course for starters. And if you've already taken it, or if you're taking it and you really just want to go beyond, then explain to me what it is that's significantly above and beyond the typical coursework. And it would be the committee itself that's approving the terms for any ELO at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much.
Andre, thank you to you and the team for all the work over the last year, really putting the vision of this together. So,
Great committee, excellent input from faculty members. Good job. It was a pleasure.
Team effort. Good job. Thank you. Just a couple other notes. We've had a great opening to the school year. Obviously, our last board meeting was just prior to the opening. I'm happy to report we had a good opening. We were prepared to. All schools were in tip-top shape, from custodians, transportation, no major transportation issues at all. Last-minute registrations, kids were in seats first day, and whatnot. It was a challenging start with athletics and outdoor activities with the heat. I want to commend our new Director of Athletics and Student Activities, Mr. Landry, who's out at events tonight, I should say, for really staying on top of it and educating our coaches on how we were going to handle our athletes over that 2-week period. And I was thankful that our buildings are climate controlled, so there was really little thought or no thought around early dismissal. Made my job easy in that regard. Also want to bring the board up to speed in the area of food services. As you know, we've been experiencing some year-over-year losses by the last 5 or 6 years. This is something that you've all been concerned with through your discussion of the consent agenda each month. It's also something that Joe and I have certainly been concerned with. It's a program that's designed to be self-sustaining. The fund balance has been whittled down over the years. You might recall the board raised lunch prices in spring 2017. Shortly after that, we eliminated a position in that department through attrition, partly because as the district downsized from 5 schools, 5 elementary schools to 3 elementary schools, there wasn't a similar reduction in the amount of staffing in that department. And at one time, we were actually making food for the Friendship School, which around 2014, they decided to do it themselves. So heading into this school year, again through attrition, we had some further staff reductions in that department, and we're engaging in a discussion with CREC, which is a RESC in the Hartford area, and they are really kind of the experts around doing a food service audit. So we're engaging them in a discussion to say, come in and do a full analysis of this program, make some recommendations around how to make sure that this is a sustainable program going forward. So I will keep you up to date as that transpires, but just some of the changes we made around staffing heading into the year should help. Joe, anything to add to that? Great. I mentioned League of Innovative Schools in the context of Andre's presentation. The team from the middle school and the team for the high school, and Craig and myself will attend our first League professional development opportunity in a couple of weeks. Really centered on mastery-based learning, really helping children learn from a standards-based approach, which is why we're here. Happy to say you've heard a lot about see something, say something at the 6-12 level here in Waterford. You've heard us talk about Start with Hello, which is another Sandy Hook Promise Foundation. We will have a Start with Hello week next week here in Waterford, and that will be across all 3 elementary schools this year, which is, all 3 did pockets of this work last year, but this is really the first year where the 3 of them got together and said, let's really make this robust, let's do it together, let's organize it together across all 3 elementaries. That week is next week in alignment with Sandy Hook Promise Foundation, Start with Hello Week, and it's really around reducing social isolation. And either one of you, 3 of you, 2 of you, none of you want to mention kind of some of the activities next week?
Well, it's all about inclusiveness and connectedness. We start on Monday. There's a number of activities. 6th graders will kind of see readers, different students each day, students who are game tag, usually sitting alone, go over, say hello to them, try to kind of engage students in creating some new friendships. We have kind of a say hey day. Teachers will have assign kind of mystery students to one another, so they have to do something kind for someone all through the week and try and guess which student in the class it is. And then as adults in the building, we do the same thing to try and figure out, who it is that's doing something kind. So it's really a way to spread kindness, and we've got some bulletin boards and things up. We're kicking it off tomorrow with National Peace Day, so we're going to kind of recognize that with the students in a little song, and special resources and build into the social melodies and raising and connecting and making friends. Nice this year's semester, we did it in February, and this year all 3 of us collaborated to put together a presentation so that it's consistent against through all classrooms and all elementary schools as well.
Gentlemen?
I think it dovetails nicely, as Shay said, with our social emotional learning initiative that we're kicking off this year. It also actually aligns perfectly with our first town hall meeting of the year, where the focus will be on social emotional learning and applying those skills. So this gives us the opportunity, so it's not a one and done, just a week. We're going to have opportunities to cycle back to it throughout the year.
And we're going to do similar activities, obviously, and then the last day, culminating activity where the students filled out a little worksheet that says how they kind of made them feel, or something you did special for someone else. And we're going to do kind of an activity outside. We take a big group picture with the drones that we got. So.
Question?
I heard you mention continuation of what middle school and high school are doing. Is part of middle school and high school doing it?
We explain that in the Wingham program. So that's also a schedule of promise. We do Say Something Week, which is urging kids to report any kind of dangerous. And then we have a Wingham program that goes through the entire year with elementary. Both schedule of promise all.
Great. Thank you. We know the research is there around if we reduce social isolation of kids, a lot of benefits in their academics as well. Recently, there's been some interest among elementary parents about introducing world language prior to 6th grade. You might recall that at one time the district did offer elementary world language. Don't think we're in a fiscal position to be able to offer elementary world language again. It's not what I'm proposing. But we, due to this interest, we kind of put our heads together and say, what could we do? We've been doing some things. We partner with the Southeastern Connecticut Chinese School over the last year or so to offer some Chinese language and cultural experiences after school. But Craig got together with the high school world language department and said, what could we do for elementary around world language? And I'll let you talk about that.
High school came up with engaging the National Honor Society for World Language students, and there'll be a minimum of at least 2 students who will be running an after-school activity once a week for 4 weeks at each elementary school. Each elementary school will have different National Honor Society students. There'll be a Waterford High faculty member on site there.
To introduce foreign language?
After school.
Yep.
To introduce Spanish is the one that we're starting with, and this, is in addition to the Chinese school working with the 3 parent organizations to 4 parent organizations that we live our claim to do after-school programming in Chinese. Our world language department has said in the future we may strengthen this by broadening the length of sessions. Right now it's at 4 because we also don't want to burn out the kids who are your high flyers. Possibly splitting the groups. This will be offered for grades 1 through 5 right now, because we want to just start right. In the future, maybe having 2 groups, elementary, lower elementary, and possibly offering in other world languages, since we do offer French and Latin. So it's just it's a start. It's being really organized by our National Honor Society students, and hoping to be a good success. So we're going to be doing one in the month of October at, I believe, Waterford, the month of November at Great Neck, and the month of December, early January, holidays at Great Neck.
What would the definition of success be?
So, student engagement, do they kind of leave knowing sort of like numbers, colors, like basics? Are they excited about world language? It's really, in 4 weeks, what can high school students really give to elementary students? That would be the definition of success for an after-school program.
Thank you. Jody.
Can I ask a question? Do we have any, like intruder programs that the students might want to maybe check out at the library or something like that? If they really like the 4-week program, maybe it's something they could take home and work on it at home as an extra
It's something that
learning
I
experience.
could see if what Roz has at the public library or different availability. That's a good one.
Just if they really like it, I hate to see it stop at, their interest stop at 4 weeks. And maybe it could continue if they could use, if they need.
There's some great online.
Yeah.
Well, one of our graduates, I know I've said it before, Kevin Bell Training, he's part of the Paraclete group. He has some great games for Latin. And the kids at NFA really, really like the program. And more, so, something like that, it's fun, but it's learning too.
Thank you, Craig.
And just the last item on the superintendent's report. This morning I was able to attend the first superintendent summit on reimagining regional resources. A lot of R's. It really was a discussion amongst the 33 towns that Learn covers around what are we doing right now in terms of regional collaboration. And there's actually a lot more than I even thought. And really, what can we do moving forward, and kind of developed a mini strategic plan around that with Learn this morning, and I'll look forward to reporting back to the board what shape that takes and what opportunities exist in the future. But it was a productive discussion. That concludes the superintendent's report.
Any questions for Tom? Committee and other reports. Craig.
We had an Atlantic Broadband Advisory Council meeting last week, and the council is basically there to help promote public access to TV, our main thing, and there's quite a bit to that. There was a presentation that I'm going to get out to everybody. I guess it's going to go out on Friday note. It's just a high-level yearly review sort of thing. And then there's a PSA contest coming up that's open to grades 9 through 12 in the 9 towns that are covered by this council. And the first prize is $1,000, second is $500, and third is $300. So that once that we're just working on tightening that up, and it'll be available pretty soon. So we'll get the word out on that. So.
Thank you, Greg.
And I got probably electric picture.
Yeah, whenever you don't.
That's what I get for showing up at meetings.
Jody, what's going on with youth services?
Yeah, Joy had it.
The Waterford Education Fund delivered its scholarships last week for a total of $7,443 among 8 applicants. So the local hygienic art company received some money to support an art show featuring multimedia work from Waterford and New London. So that was a nice gift to them. Waterford High School biology teachers received money to purchase 2 infrared bacteria sterilizers to support antibiotic spread in their classrooms, which is nice to hear. Waterford Senior Services received a grant to fund intergenerational storytelling. So the seniors are going to help elementary students with their storytelling skills. Clark Lane Middle School Family and Consumer Science received some funding for 4 heavy-duty stand mixers for their kitchens. Waterford High School Chemistry received money to send chemistry teachers to a professional development workshop for modeling chemistry curriculum. Waterford High School Science Chair received another grant for a similar type of professional development workshop. Over 150 students will benefit from the skills and the information these teachers will be bringing back to the classroom. Waterford High English received some funding to resurrect the print version of the Waterford High Lancelot, which is the school newspaper. Would allow for printing of 100 copies of at least 4 editions throughout the school year. The Eugene O'Neill Theater Center received a grant to support the 2019 Young Playwrights Festival. So young people develop their plays, and they actually work with Eugene O'Neill professionals to put on their play. So it's very, very exciting. So that totals about $7,500. The Education Fund is looking for volunteers. We had a few people resign from their positions this year, so we are looking for new people to help and raise money. As you can see, what we raise goes to very significant types of grants for our school system. So if anyone is interested, or if you have any fundraising ideas for us to raise more money this year, feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
I see a correspondence here from Learn. I represent us on the Learn board. I've been attending their meetings each month, and I suppose I should start to forward to all of you the minutes if you want. But the last month, I'm just looking through, they announced their Learn Teacher of the Year. There was a big discussion on school safety at the Learn schools. They're opening up a new facility on Ocean Avenue near next to Toby May, a student support services school that's there, that they did the groundbreaking last year that I attended. And I think the last bit is they under contract or going into contract negotiations with their teachers, and I'm going to sit on their negotiations committee. And I can send all of you the minutes. this particular project. So that was,
Thank you, Chris.
you're welcome.
Julie?
Have the Youth Service Bureau report. I won't go through all these, but these are the programs for the fall and also the holiday activities that they have planned. Chris Gigliotti resigned. He was the assistant to Danny. So there's an opening there now, and they're going to be doing interviews, I think, beginning of November. So it's open right now for the assistant's position. Also, the elementary schools are doing Harlem Wizards game on Saturday, September 29th, and Youth Service Bureau has tickets, and I think all of the elementary schools do also. And this will help support our PTOs, and it's a great night. They have a lot of fun. I was able to attend all the back-to-school nights. I had a great time. All the schools were very welcoming, and you just got a really good feeling at all of them. And I was really impressed with Park Lane with all of the after-school activities you offer. I had no idea you had that many clubs. So that was an eye-opener for me. And like I said, all the elementary schools, I mean, the parents were great. It was so nice seeing all the children come, to the back-to-school nights. And a lot of the parents that are there now were on my softball teams over the years, and the kids my children grew up with, so it was really, really nice to see that. And I think all of our principals did an excellent job, and your faculty too, so please thank them for it.
Thank you, Judy. Any other reports? Okay, new business. First item is a proposal or request from the superintendent to give him authorization to engage K-8 districts in the area about possibly sending your students to Waterford, since they don't have high schools. Tom?
Sure. I'm going to provide the board with some brief information tonight about the possibility of attracting a limited number of high school students from the region to Waterford High School, really targeting those K-8 towns that do not have their own high school. I want to thank Craig and Joe for their extensive logistics and statistics support on this, number crunching and analysis. And it's, you've heard me mention before that I think we've done a commendable job the last X number of years retaining and attracting back our own Waterford residents to our schools. Education has certainly become a competitive business. There's no doubt about that. It is a competitive environment related to that, for sure. Tonight's consideration is really to give me authorization to approach these K-8 towns in the region and see if there's interest on their part in having a more in-depth discussion. We're not here tonight to make a decision as, are we going to do this, what would be the amount, the tuition, this, that, and the other. It's really to approach and see, do these towns have an interest in sending a limited number of their students to Waterford High. Why does this make sense? Like most towns in the state, we've experienced some enrollment decline over the last X number of years. We've reduced staff commensurate to that enrollment decline, as we talk about in our budget presentation. The why in attracting a limited number of students to Waterford High is to sustain current programming and services. That's our primary goal. Second reason is the potential for a new revenue source for the town of Waterford. Dollars under this, any of these types of arrangements would flow back to the town's general fund. We contract with NASDAQ each year to do an enrollment analysis on an annual basis. We use that data in a variety of ways, including planning staffing levels, building our budget certainly. In recent years, while experiencing a slight enrollment decline, we've actually had higher enrollment than their projections. When we look specifically at the high school using the NASDAQ projections over the next 10 years, so 2018, the year we're in, to 2028, we'll experience, by their projections, a net decrease of about 50 students. You see a pretty significant drop they're projecting in a couple of years, and then after that it nets out to about even. Given this projected, again, slight decrease over the next 10 years, this is really an opportune time, I feel, to have this discussion whether or not we want to attract a limited number of the region's 8th graders without adding any significant costs to our operation, and at the same time generating what could be a substantial amount of revenue, which is always a good thing when you're taking in more than you're spending. When you look by the map, there are 7 towns in the region within about 38 minutes that do not have their own high school. Obviously, all of these towns have existing arrangements with other high schools at the time. With that said, if you read the paper, Bacon Academy in Colchester has gone out and set up some deals with the region's towns. Lyman High School out in Lebanon has begun the same process of approaching K-8 towns. So there are certainly other towns in the region that are beginning to make this play for students and dollars. Very draft, again, not asking you to approve any amounts tonight. This is really just as a basis to show what the potential opportunities are in terms of dollars. This draft amount is based on regional comparables as well as an analysis of the cost to educate a child in Waterford. We'd be looking somewhere around the $12,000 mark, and certainly if this were to become a more formal proposal based on interest, this would all come back to the board for formal approval. Look at the plan. The plan would be, if approved tonight, to go talk to these towns, would be to really targeting a limited number of students starting as early as next fall. We feel we could accommodate upwards of about 90 students over the next 10 years. We're losing about 50, so it would be a net increase of about 40 students from what we see today. That would total about 4% of the regions of these K-8 districts. So I'm talking about a big book of business. I think this is ambitious, but not impossible. Potential outcomes when you look at absorbing 90 or so students in the next 4 to 10 years, and that really would be our maximum based on our analysis and discussions with the high school. When you look at that across 4 grades and 65 or so certified classroom teachers, the net result would be class sizes of about 22 students. This would really allow us to maintain our current level of services, programming, curricular offerings, great programs like we heard about tonight, again, while generating substantial revenue. If we hit our target of 4%, which is about 23 students a year, you can see the revenue dollars on the right there at a cost of about $12,000 per student. What options do towns have? There are, in the statutes, 2 ways a town could decide to form an agreement with us. One would be for a town to formally designate Waterford High as a formally designated high school. The sending town would pay tuition, and they would be required to provide transportation, which may make sense because they might be paying a different district more money right now, so they may say this makes good fiscal sense on their part. The other option is it's not a designated high school, but it's an approved high school, where the sending town says, if you can get to Waterford High, maybe your parent has to go through Waterford every day, or you want a lot of juniors and seniors drive, if you want to go to Waterford High, we'll pay the tuition, but we're not going to run a bus for you. And that's called an approved high school and not designated. So sending towns do have some options, and obviously those choices on part of the sending town or our choice would be, would have fiscal impacts for those towns. Obviously, there is a cost of transportation. When we look at planning steps and what the timeline looks like, step 1 is to really review the concept with you. That's occurring tonight. I asked the board to approve a resolution for me to go out. We'd do it solo. We'd have a team of folks that would go on a road show to see, is there any interest? There could be. There might not be. We don't know. But to go out and at least gather some intel and information to bring back to the board. and then review findings with the Waterford Board of Ed and seek final approval, and then boards and sending towns and us as the receiving town would need to sign formal agreements with everybody on terms, how many seats are we going to offer you, how long is this agreement in place, those sorts of things. But tonight, really, all I'm looking for the board is to really go out and seek some information, see if there's interest on the part of K-8 towns in the region. And at this point, I'm happy to answer any questions.
The 839, is that the capacity of the building or what you have enrolled?
What page and what slide? I just want to make sure we're speaking.
Waterford High School's capacity, enrollment projections, source.
Yeah, that's current enrollment.
And what's the capacity?
The actual capacity of the building based on the number of classrooms and seats.
Functionally, I would think to see about 900, but not much more.
Yeah,
Would that be a fair statement? So
the range that Tom talked about, we've already looked at it together, and we feel it's within the capacity of the building.
Okay.
the old high school did have a higher...
1,200. Do we have one of 1,200?
The old high school did,
Yeah.
but when we built the project, we had to look out 10 years to see what's the highest enrollment and build to that mark. So that's why there's a difference.
So you can take 60.
Well, we're going to lose 50, so our enrollment would be down in the 780s, so then we could...
It's right, you didn't lose it, right, okay.
Correct. We didn't lose anybody.
Right.
We're looking at about 60, but with the net decrease in if we accepted students.
Greg, did you?
The class size average that was listed at 22, I forget what our current average is.
Yeah, it varies by department and course, but when you look at 90 kids over 65 teachers who teach 4 or 5 classes, you're talking about a negligible impact on class size.
I just saw it 22 there.
Do you feel like you would get a lot of play from towns by doing this if you were to take this on the road?
I think frankly at the right price point, I think there'd be some interest. I think looking at regional comparables around the $12,000 mark, and we're confident, this plan doesn't make sense if we incur a lot of costs. We think we're very confident we can do this with existing staffing levels and existing resources. Are there some minor costs associated with materials and things like that? Sure, but we do think there's interest. I think this is an opportune time where towns are looking at every dollar, and they're looking at biggest bang for their tuition dollars too. So if you're a K-8 town, $800 or $1,000 a student means a lot in a small budget.
If we can be competitive, I know Norwich Free Academy is quite,
pricing themselves out.
15,000, I think, something like that.
They're higher than, again, you're not approving a proposed amount,
Right.
but they're higher than our draft amount.
Yeah.
Right.
Jody?
I think this is a great idea, and I'm glad you're looking into it. And I'm really proud of our high school, and I think we have a lot to offer.
Do we have
You know?
a motion then to approve the proposed resolution?
I'd like to make a motion that the Waterford Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to approach the Area K-8 district to discuss designated high school arrangements.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is review and naming of a Clark Lane ad hoc committee. Under our policy and the supporting regulations, the committee is to consist of the chair and the superintendent, who are ex officio, 2 members from the Board of Education, 1 administrator, 1 teacher, 1 parent of a student enrolled in the Waterford Public Schools, 2 residents from the community that are not included in the above, and such other individuals as the chair may designate. And my recommendations to the board would be, let me find it here. Board members would be Nim and Chris. Community members, Ann Ogden, who was a former member of the Board of Education, Jim Cavalieri, I think most of us know. He's had children that went through our school system. He's a building principal himself. Is it?
Lyman.
Yeah.
Yep.
The teacher representative would be Erica Baumgartner. Of course, myself and Tom as the ex officio members. The administrator would be Craig Powers, and the parent representative would be attorney Wendy Fontaine, who has a daughter in 4th grade up in Quaker Hills. If I could have a motion to that effect, that would be appreciated.
I move to approve the naming of officers committee as included in tonight's agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Jody?
Shouldn't Jim be on it too, though?
Jim
Stack? No?
No?
Okay.
No, it's a committee. You don't want to have too many people.
Well, no. Well, I don't know. He is the principal there.
Well, I'm sure we're going to consult him.
I hope so, because he has some good ideas.
You're not off the hook, Jim. Don't worry.
Okay. Any other comments? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. The next item is the carryover from the last meeting also, where we want to look into the feasibility of a new girls' softball field. And if we do go down that road, of course, we want to generate a lot of community support. So the proposed appointees, this is a rather large committee, but again, the whole idea is to generate community support, or if the community doesn't want to go in that direction, to have support for that decision also.
No.
So the committee, which will have an open mind, consists of Jody Nazarchik, Joy, Deb, Craig, and Amanda from the board, Rob Morelli from the community along with Andy Walker, Tom and myself with the ex officio members. We would have some staff advisors, Joe, James Meyer, and Chris Landry. The Board of Finance has indicated that Joe Filippetti will represent them, and the RTM in October will appoint someone. So a to-be-designated appointee. If I could have a motion to that effect, please. So.
Go ahead, Jody.
I'd like to make a motion that the Waterford Board of Education approves. Oh, no, I'm on the wrong one. I'm sorry. I'd like to make a motion that.
Top of the last page.
The Waterford Board of Education approves the formation of an ad hoc committee to review the softball field analysis and approves the committee assignments set forth by the Board of Education Chair of Board of Education members Greg Ogden, Amanda Gates Lamont, Craig Merriman, Jody Nazarchik, and Deborah Azali Kelly. Community members Rob Morelli and Andy Walker, staff advisors Chris Landry, Joe Mancini, and Jay Miner, ex officio Greg Benoit and Tom Giard, Board of Finance member Joe Filippetti, and an RTM member who will be designated at the October 1st RTM meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next up is a discussion of our goals. This is also carried over from the last meeting. These would be our goals. What are the thoughts of the board?
Edit? Are we going to edit them?
We certainly can. We certainly
As a
can.
simple edit, I just think that we force one down, engage families in most many ways possible, and promote the features and benefits of all Waterford public school to encourage families to send their children to our 5 public schools. Those are 2 different things. So I would just break them out into 2 goals. And you could expand promote the features and benefits of all Waterford public schools, because Tom's doing something to encourage other students that aren't Waterford. So I would like to see those split. I would say engage families in the most meaningful ways possible with their children's schooling or learning, so that we get the parents invested in our schools. But then the second part, a different goal, would be to promote our school system, to not just our own children, but other districts. So, but that's, I think the other ones are great. I really like the assessment of data. Someone wrote a good goal.
Well, these are almost all of them are carryovers from last year. The board did an extensive amount of work last year on goal development. Craig has it in real time right up on the screen. No.
So we would have a separate bullet, and it would be, I assume, promote the features and benefits of all of the Waterford public schools to encourage Waterford families, it's an insertion of Waterford families, to send their children to our 5 schools, and to further encourage non-district families to utilize our school system to the extent possible. How's that? Does that meet your objective?
To investigate expanding Waterford public schools as a high school option for other districts.
Okay.
Because I'm a little bit worried about using our schools because of a letter we got tonight about sports. So we want to be really clear about our language. I would say it should be about students to investigate other districts in utilizing Waterford High School as an option for their students. Yeah, for their district. For their high school students, yeah. Good.
Joy.
I'm a little unclear on the second bullet, provide high quality, effective professional learning, including necessary resources of time and funding. How do we do that? And what does that mean?
I think the most visible way is through the budget process. I think prior to your time, just before your time on the board, it's been a long-standing board goal. And several years ago, the board actually increased funding for professional learning. In terms of the budgetary process, the most visible way. I think the other way is through support of positions in the district that support teaching and learning and advancing effective, professional learning in a variety of ways, whether that's through utilizing our own staff to provide that professional development. So I think that's another visible way in terms of staffing decisions.
And we do review each professional development day. We receive a presentation. I think you also survey the teachers to get their reaction. So as a board, we monitor that. And this really is our R&D. And the salary for our teachers is the biggest, as we know, line item in the budget. And we don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish by not attending to their developmental needs.
What I think we could do is just change the word, because we're not providing.
Yes. So we provide the funding. We're not providing the learning, right?
So instead of the word including, I would say providing necessary resources of time and funding. Switch a couple of words.
Greg, you're doing a great job over there.
Any other revisions? how about a motion to approve as revised?
Can we add a girls softball field on?
Keep that open mind, Jody.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Whoever.
Any discussion?
Sorry.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And now, at adjournment, who wishes to make that motion?
I'll make a move to adjourn tonight's meeting, 7:05.
For a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
You have your Waterford High Athletic